Hello everyone. I hope life is treating you kindly. I'm Lubomira and thank you for joining me today. Welcome to all my crafty friends new and returning. I always look forward to this time of the week when we get together for some crafting fun. Now that you are here, please like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. By hitting that little bell, you'll get notified every time I post something new and you won't miss out on any of the crafty goodness. This week I'm sharing an I Love You rainbow heart card with a channel across the front to display our focal element. Now what I particularly love about this design in general is its versatility. I'm using Dollar Tree items to make this because that's the theme of these Dollar Tree videos, making pretty cards using inexpensive supplies. I want to show that you don't always have to have the pricey supplies to make wonderful cards, especially if you're just getting into this hobby. Those of us that are seasoned creators know this isn't a cheap hobby. Having said that though, you at home can use any of the supplies you have on hand, and I encourage you to do so. The hearts can easily be switched out with any simple die you have for any occasion. Flowers, trees, snowflakes, pumpkins, candies, cupcakes, butterflies. And you don't have to just use dies either. You could easily switch them out with some simple stamps or stickers or even rub-ons. My challenge to you is to raid that stash of yours and just start creating. By the end of the weekend, you'll have an assortment of cards that are fun to make and not too difficult. I'm excited to share this project with you, so let's get into the video. I started off by creating the channel in my card front. I die cut a border using one of the Dollar Tree border dies from a white standard A2 sized panel. I used a T-square to help me align the die straight by pressing the die right along the edge of the ruler. This die is too short to cut the panel in a single pass, so I had to move the die over and send it through the die cut machine again. The die will pop into place when you align it properly with the already cut pattern. Now the way I placed my die, I actually had to move the die twice since I had placed the die in the middle of my panel and neither side cut through to the edge the first time around. To avoid that extra pass through, simply make sure that the die goes over the edge of the panel on one side. When the die cut has completely cut across the panel, you have your first part of the channel. Next, I repeated the same steps to create the bottom part of the channel, but before placing the die, I flipped it so the scalloped edge was facing the opposite direction. Then it's a matter of just repeating the process as before. The gap you create will depend on the size of the die you're using. I like to place the die a little higher than what I need because I can always cut the panel from the bottom to make the channel larger. Once I had my panel cut, I took the bottom piece and stamped my greeting along the bottom of the scalloped edge. I chose the sentiment I love you from one of the Dollar Tree stamp sets. This one was the Alien set, which is pretty cute actually. It comes with a number of space themed sentiments and among them is the I love you, which has a fun font that I really like. I placed my panel into my positioning platform, positioned my stamp off camera, and stamped the greeting in black pigment ink before applying clear embossing powder and heat setting it with my heat tool. For my focal element, I used the leftover hearts I had made in a previous video. For those of you who haven't seen that video, I had made some heart masks and these were left over after I peeled the masking paper off them. Actually, one of my viewers mentioned how I could have used colored cardstock instead of white to make something else, and that is a great piece of advice. I tend to use white cardstock because I, one, have plenty of it, and two, I'm never certain what I'm actually going to be doing next. I can always apply color in a number of ways to the white cardstock, but I wanted to show that I do keep scraps and nothing really goes to waste, for the most part. With a pencil, I placed a line in the middle of the card to help me place my hearts later on. I attached the channel panels temporarily to the front of a card base using some low-tack tape. I didn't feel the need to add another layer of cardstock for a card front since all I was doing was adding the hearts to the inner part of the channel. When I'm coloring or using some kind of wet technique, I'll usually work on a separate panel which I then glue to a card base to avoid any bleed through or warping. This wasn't necessary for this card. I fitted one of the hearts to see if the channel was large enough, which it was, and I didn't have to make any adjustments to the panels themselves. I set the card aside and worked on the hearts next. I added color to the hearts by using the residual ink left on my blending brushes. I have two sets of brushes, one for dye inks and one for pigment inks, which I primarily use with my Distress Oxide inks. These brushes are the pigment ink brushes. I took a piece of low-tack tape and placed it on my work surface, sticky side up, and then held it down with another piece at each end. I picked out the smallest hearts from my stash and stuck a few of them down to the tape. Then I took my brushes and applied color to each heart in a rainbow pattern. How you add color to your focal element is up to you. This way is fast and effective, that is if you leave your brushes dirty. Now for those of you wondering how I prevent color mixing in projects if I leave my brushes dirty, I actually do wipe the brushes down before each project. If I need the brushes cleaned really well, especially for lighter pastel colors, I use a cloth and water and alcohol mix that dries very quickly, almost immediately in fact, leaving the brushes clean and usable. Once the hearts were ink blended, I applied a splatter of Picket fences paper splatter watercolor to them in the liquid white snowflake color. I set them aside to dry for a few minutes before finishing the rest of the card. Next, I attached the hearts to the front of the card using foam squares and liquid glue. I alternated the hearts, sticking some hearts with 1 mm thick squares while others with 2 mm. The glue gave me a little time to adjust the positioning of the hearts. Rather than just trying to place the hearts straight, I tipped them in one direction and then the other, making placing them quicker and less precise, while still aesthetically pleasing. Once the hearts were in place, I removed the temporary tape and erased the pencil lines I had made earlier. Then I cleaned up the edge of the card by snipping the overhanging hearts using some scissors. Next, I attached the channel panels to the card using faux tape. I added the foam to the back of each panel and then placed the card into my positioning platform to help me align the edges straight. I made sure to press the corner of the card against the corner of the platform and then place each panel in its corresponding place using the platform as a guide. Lastly, to finish the card, I added some iridescent drops to the hearts for some added sparkle. And that's it for this card. I really enjoyed making this project. This card was simple and used a minimal number of supplies, while the pop of rainbow colors really added some drama to the design. Overall, it's a fun and cheerful card that is sure to bring a smile to someone's face. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you dropping by. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did sharing it with you. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, please leave me those comments. I'm always happy to see all your friendly faces pop up in my notification. And for those of you who are new, don't be shy. We really have a wonderful group of creative people that like sharing with each other. I hope you'll join me next time for another project. Until then, have a wonderful week, and I hope life treats you kindly. See you soon. Bye.